Hello, awesome readers! Today we're going to be reading Meanwhile Back on Earth by Oliver Jeffers. In all of the cosmos, this one place in our solar system is where all the people have lived for the whole time we've been people. We have always thought that Earth is so big that it's best to divide it into smaller bits. My side, then this is my side. Mine, mine. It seems we humans have always fought each other over space. Though really, Earth is not so big, not compared to, well, space. Shall we take a detour and see for ourselves? Yes, please. Then let's put on our space helmets, turn this into a space car, and head out toward the moon. It is 250,000 miles away, so it will take almost a year to drive there. On this trip, it's important to keep checking the mirror to see what we're up to back on Earth. So, if we were already at the moon, it would be almost a year ago at home. And we'd see Earth much as we left it at the start of the 21st century, where everyone seems distracted and can't agree what we do next. If we took a left turn at the moon toward the sun, it would be a 78-year drive from Earth to Venus, our closest planet. Meanwhile, back on Earth, 78 years ago, it was the middle of the 20th century, and the whole planet was fighting, hopefully for the last time. If we kept heading toward the sun, it would be a 150-year drive to Mercury. Meanwhile, back on Earth, 150 years ago, it was late in the 1800s, and a few small countries were racing to divide up and own a valuable bit of land and the people in it. If, back at the moon, we made a right turn instead of a left and headed toward Mars, it would take about 170 years to get there. Meanwhile, back on Earth, 170 years ago, it was the middle of the 1800s, and 4 different empires were fighting over a small bit of land that stuck out into a small sea. Back on our original course, it would be a 283-year drive to reach the sun. Make sure you have the air conditioning going and your sunglasses on. Meanwhile, back on Earth, 283 years ago, it was the middle of the 1700s. And some humans, after sailing across an ocean and fighting with the humans who were already there, were about to start fighting each other. Now, if we made that right turn toward Mars and kept going, we would be driving for 500 years from Earth before we saw anything else. When we eventually did, it would probably be Ceres, the largest object in the asteroid belt. Checking in the year view mirror, we see that back on Earth 500 years ago, the first people from one big bit of land arrived at the other big bit of land and ran riot. I hope you're comfortable and brought snacks, as it takes almost 1,200 years to drive to Jupiter. Back on Earth, 1,200 years ago, it was the year 800 and something, and the Vikings had finished fighting everyone around them, so they built boats to find new people to fight. But let's keep going, as it's only a short 2,400-year drive to Saturn. Whee! Meanwhile, back on Earth, 2.5 millennia ago, some people were building the largest wall ever to be made so they could keep all the other people out. Considering how far we've already driven, we're still less than halfway to Uranus, which is just over a 5,000-year drive. I spy with my little eye something beginning with S. Space? Meanwhile, back on Earth 5,000 years ago, people discovered using animals and metal made fighting much more effective. It's really pretty empty this far out. It'll take just over 8,000 years to drive to Neptune. Back on Earth, it is 6,000 BCE, and the sea is still rising from the end of the last ice age. And early people are fighting each other with sticks and stones. If we carry on, after driving for 11,000 years, we finally reach Pluto. Meanwhile, back on Earth 11,000 years ago, there are fewer people on Earth than currently live in Ireland, around 6 million, and they are much too busy surviving to bother with fighting each other. Well, that's us. We have reached the end of our solar system, just one of billions. Do you want to keep going? Next stop, Alpha Centauri, just a 77 million year drive away. Or do you want to go home? The end. Thank you so much for reading with me. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to like and subscribe so that we can read together again.